They absorbed a 41-point thumping in Game 3. Wow. Now how will the Houston Rockets respond in Game 4? Knowing that teams down 3-1 rarely come back to win playoff series. You saw Steph Curry. He went off the other night. Draymond Green and company looking for that commanding 3-1 lead as we set for Game 4. From Oracle, 19,596 will be here to see it. We've taken our show on the road. Ernie Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny the Jet Smith, and Charles Barkley. These guys will have much to say as they weigh in on Game 4 in just a minute. But let's set the table for the night. Talk to the sideline reporters who have both teams covered, the Warriors and the Rockets. Start with Golden State's side of things, and David Aldridge, DA.
Well, EJ, the news came out about half an hour ago that Andre Iguodala, despite the best efforts of the Warriors training staff, is not going to play in Game 4 after suffering that left leg contusion in the second half of Game 3 on Sunday night. He came in and got treatment last night. He got treatment this morning. He's been in treatment most of the afternoon. The leg just hasn't responded enough to the point where they feel comfortable putting him out there. So the Warriors have to decide. Either Nick Young or their very impressive young big man Kevon Looney are the likely replacements for Iguodala. The differences are obvious. Young is a much more talented offensive player, but not as good defensively, whereas Looney has been outstanding defensively and is not the threat offensively that Nick Young would be. So it's a decision that Steve Kerr is going to make. Either way, the bench gets much more reduced without Andre Iguodala there, and the Hamptons lineup is really diminished because he's been such a big part of that. Now with the story about the Rockets, let's go over to Kristen Lidlow.
Well, DA, those Warriors took a 2-1 lead after that commanding 41-point win here at Oracle in Game 3. And now the Rockets know they need to tie the series before it shifts back home. But despite that narrative surrounding the series that concerns the adjustments the Rockets could make, Coach D'Antoni and his team have maintained the position that they won't stray too far from the system that won 65 games this season. They'll be who they are, but they'll be better. Here's what else Coach D'Antoni had to say when he addressed the
You got to make some adjustments. You got to do certain things that we can do better. But we can't miss 23 shots in the paint. You can't turn the ball over 20 times. Just those two stats alone. Last night we'd have got beat probably on the road at any city in the NBA. So can't do that. Not against these guys. They're not going to let you. To beat these guys, and they're good. We have to have our A game. We had our C game, and you're not going to do it, especially on their court. So, again, I try to look on the bright side. The bright side is we can play much better, and we have to.
And it was in the fourth quarter of Game 3 that D'Antoni not only pulled his starters, but he told them to get their minds right for Game 4. James Harden, though, again maintains the position that his mindset has never wavered.
Always, never changes. We might get whooped by 40, we might lose by 2, we might win by 20, but our same swagger, our same confidence is always there.
The Rockets are averaging 16.7 turnovers, which is the highest of any team that's in the conference finals. So expect fewer turnovers, a more physical presence on the defensive end, and for them to get back sooner in transition on D. Ernie?
Yeah, thank you very much, Christian. Yeah, that turnover situation, 17 a game in this series. They came in averaging the fewest in the playoff field, but again, more turnovers than assists in Game 3. Mike D'Antoni says all the pressure's on Golden State, Shaq. You buying what he's selling?
Not really. Pressure's really on the Rockets. Some people have the Rockets favored. They can't play much better. The question is, we've been asking this question all week, which Rockets team is going to show up. He made some great points. They do have to play better. Can't turn the ball over 20 times against this Golden State team because they take pride in playing defense, getting out, getting this building involved. But, Mike D'Antoni knows what he's doing, but his guys have to come out and play their A game. If they play their A game and Golden State plays their A game, it'll be a very competitive game.
Well, I told you, Ernie, the one thing concerned me going into the series was the turnovers, because when you turn the ball over against the Warriors, it leads to 8-10-point runs. And that stat, what you said earlier about they came in averaging the least amount, that doesn't matter. You're playing against better teams. You have to stuff that worked the first round, second round won't work against the Golden State Warriors, but they're a terrific, elite defensive team. And James gets so lackadaisical at times with the ball. You have to be crisp on all your passes. You can't hope to get fouled. They got to come out and be aggressive. Listen, I just want to see a good game tonight. I just want to see the Rockets be aggressive. Don't just come get punched in the mouth and just keep backing up.
Let me ask you about the Andre Iguodala situation. How big, on a scale of 1 to 10, how big is the loss of Iguodala for Game 4?
I would say it's about a 6. Obviously, I think he actually plays better. He plays better with the second unit. When he goes back in with the second unit and Looney kind of goes into first, he plays better with them because he gives them versatility and ball handling. So all of a sudden, Livingston, himself, they all handle the basketball, and then they put KD with the second unit, and he just becomes a primary scorer. So for me, it's going to hurt their second unit because even though he starts, he does play the majority of the minutes at times with that second unit, which can be effective, and they can be explosive just as well as the first unit.
I'm going to say it's an 8. Andre Iguodala, yes,
wow, okay.
Andre Iguodala to me is a super reliable others. You know, you can't win games. You know, you can't win championships without the super reliable others. He's always making the right plays. He's always there defensively. You know, he can give, Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson a break and saying, I'll guard the guy that's, mainly on the ball. He's always there.
Yeah, I think we probably see Bell a little bit more even because he's a good defender at that position. So you'll see a lot of different lineups, I think, for Steve Kerr.
It's a 6, it's an 8, it's a 4. Oh, so you don't think it's a big deal? Put much stock in.
Listen,
in his
as long as
absence.
they got Steph, Klay, and Kevin, they're gonna be favored to win games. They have won games without Steph Curry. And listen, Iguodala's a good player, but they win games. They're 5-1 without Steph in the playoffs. So they're not. Now they got Steph back full eruption, so they're going to be fine.
Speaking of Steph, 35 points the other night, and really came alive in the second half, and got everybody's attention on this drive when he declared whose house this was, and it was very un-Steph-like to see that kind of a description and those words coming out of his mouth. In fact, he told ESPN that his mom had sent him that video, had told him that he needs to wash his mouth out with soap for using such language.
How did she know he cussed?
I think anybody who can
watch the game
watch that video, anybody who can watch that video knows.
Steph has always been a class act. I forgive him for that. It's just part of the game. A lot of times when you're in the game, you're in the moment, you do things that are very uncharacteristic. Steph, I forgive you.
And it made me think of when you first started with us, and you let one slip on the air.
No, I didn't.
And there was a certain Philip Harrison who called it, and then you came on the next segment with the bar of soap. Yeah. So they're always watching.
Ernie, to me, man, this is all about the Rockets tonight. This is. We can talk about Iguodala. We can talk about those guys. Man, the Rockets got to come to compete. You can't lose a playoff game by 40 points. I think that's almost impossible. I mean, you got to have some competitive spirit. You got to have some pride. I'm really hoping the Rockets bring it tonight because, when we came into this series, we thought it was going to be a great series, very competitive. But, man, if they come in here tonight and get stumped in the face and don't put up any pushback, this thing going to be quick and painless.
Well, Steve Kerr certainly expects that there is going to be some force from the other side. These were his comments to his team in the locker room after Game 3.
The next game is going to be the hardest game. It's going to be the hardest game of the series. And you know what's coming. So keep that same intensity, that same level of fairness, alertness. You come in, watch the tape tomorrow, and rest up.
Because teams that go down in a series 3-1 are 11-233 all time.
Wow!
And that's what the Rockets are trying to avoid tonight.
But if they win tonight, Ernie,
that's what I'm saying.
Back to a level playing field.
That's why you can see in part when Mike D'Antoni talks about there being pressure on the Golden State side. I wouldn't say all the pressure's on Golden State, but there's a degree of them to win this game at home.
But usually when the team gets smacked around, they respond very well.
Well. But I'm saying if I'm up 2-1, I don't have pressure because even if I go down to your place and lose,
I'm still coming back home again. So
That's coach speak.
That's
coach speak. Coach Kennedy, let me ask you this question.
I would never be worried.
After watching these first 3 games, would you say the Warriors have a better chance of winning in Houston, or the Rockets have a better chance of winning here in Oakland?
The Warriors
I would
have
say,
a better chance of
given
winning.
the fact that we saw Golden State win in Houston.
So all the pressure's on the Rockets.
All the pressure's on the Rockets.
Yes.
You heard it, Ernie. You said it. 11 and 233. There's 2 things about it. I was fortunate to be on that 11, part of that 11, looking to my left. But that is it. If we, honestly, Ernie, if you would have read that stat, and when we were in the Houston Rocket teams playing them, I think we would have lost. I don't think we would have. I didn't realize it was that difficult to come back from 3-1.
Yeah, but there was a huge difference in those teams. Our teams were pretty much even. They're not as good as this team. They can't afford to get down 3-1. If teams are marginally evenly and it's a play here or there, you're not going to beat this team. I don't think there's a team. You're not going to beat this team 3 times in a row.
Couple other notes to consider before we hit the Twitter machine, Jeremy. Okay, 16 straight wins at home in the postseason. That's what Golden State's got going. That is the NBA record. The Rockets did not lose consecutive games this season when Harden and Paul were both in the lineup. So it hasn't happened all year. They're going to try to avoid that again tonight, or else it's a 3-1 deficit. Now you can crank up the Twitter machine, Jeremy. Yeah, what was happening here? Are you aware of all this?
No, what's going on?
When they Googled Shaq, it said you were in sync.
Oh yeah, I did see that. They had you that you were
Actually,
NSYNC.
you know what?
See, Google had you as a member of it.
Of an NSYNC.
Yeah.
You know what? NSYNC and the Backstreet
Joey
Boys.
Fatone says, who knew Shaq was in NSYNC? Does that mean I played basketball?
Yes, you do, Joey.
Joey's a good
Justin
dude.
Timberlake.
Hey, Justin Timberlake, I had to buy a box to see you perform tomorrow night because these Rockets didn't get swept. You better put on a good show, my brother. Call me a fortune to get a box.
show in L.A.
Yeah, y'all who did this?
Yeah, this
I did it, Lance. Actually, you know what?
Was this part? Did you have a hand in this?
No, actually, you know what? When they were young, they recorded their first album at my house, at the studio at my house. NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. True story.
I believe that.
That's pretty good. That is pretty good. You gonna give me a good deal on your house, brother?
Yeah.
That's how.
22 million.
That's how you had on earlier.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You did look a little NSYNC-ish there.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Hey, Justin, put on a good show tomorrow night for me.
Oh, he will. Justin, sing. Cry me a river.
33.
I want to hear some
Cry me a river. No, Cry me a river,
Can you
Justin.
do mirrors?
That ain't Justin. That's Bruno Mars.
That's Justin, fool.
No, Cry me a river.
And I just did all the stories. I got the Chuck and I going to the ATM and then the club with the $15,000 bill.
We've been to the I'm going to the ATM.
Because he's never been to an ATM machine. So I got never in his life.
So listen, true story. Lakers, Madison Square
See,
Garden. No, true story. Halle Berry's in the arena. So Phil comes back to the terminal, draws some players, said, no. We're not running that. Turn 5. Get it to me.
That's what I'm talking about.
Get it to me right now. He's like, no. I said, Phil, no, Phil, we're not running that. Turn 5. And everybody move out the way. I'm about to throw it down on you in front of Halle Berry.
No doubt.
So you're saying you had a chance?
Hey, listen. Everybody thought they had a chance, but had none. Had none at that time. Oh, man.
Somehow we transitioned to the Eastern Conference Finals, where we saw a playoff first in this conference final round last night.
Is there any chance we can get that Kevin Love
a single-digit game last night between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics? Series is tied up at 2 games apiece. To get you caught up, here's 3D Dennis Scott.
Celtics, where they're trying to figure out how to get off to better starts. Al Horford and company struggle again to try to slow down Tristan Thompson on the glass with a double-double. And it's safe to say role players play better at home. Kyle Korver comes off the bench with the flamethrower with 14 huge points. The question remains now, how do you take this on the road? Game 5 in Boston.
The biggest key for us is we're getting better looks. In games 1 and 2, the ball wasn't moving the way it needed to. We didn't have good body movement, good ball movement. We weren't setting a lot of screens. We were kind of just relying on Braun. And there just wasn't a lot there for us because we were just really stagnant.
Kyle's just a pro's pro, man. He does everything right. every night. He gives it 100% effort every single night. And tonight having 3 blocks, he had a couple strips, and I mean, you know, just can't say enough about him. And he's 37 now. Yeah. God, dang. And we playing him too many minutes. We need him though.
Being at home is supposed to matter. It's supposed to matter, and it does there. We know we're going to get their best shot. You know, young guys will be fine. We'll be ready. We got the best player in the world, and it'll be a big one.
I mean, we don't know what we're going to see in Game 5. I mean, only the game guys know that. We know their fans are going to be very energetic. But, you know, we have to just have our same mindset as we had when we came home for these 2 games. And, you know, if our mind is there, then, you know, we put ourselves in a position to be victorious.
Best 2 out of 3 to go to the NBA Finals. Doesn't get better than that. It's a blast to have to grit your teeth, get up off the mat, and go after it again. That's part of it. That's part of what makes these guys on both sides special. It's part of what makes the Western Conference team special. They're able to do it. They're able to block out everything that doesn't matter and go compete. And that's what we'll go do.
Celtics now 1-6 on the road in the postseason, but 9-0 at home, and Game 5 is in Boston. Who's going to win the series?
I like Cleveland. A couple of days ago, Chuck was very happy when Boston was up 2-0, and I was like, Chuck, celebrating too early. You know, LeBron's been there before. Kudos to him for not panicking. I've always said when the general don't panic, troops don't panic. Guys know they didn't play well on the road. Role players play better at home. Dennis Scott said they play well. They do what they're supposed to do. The only advantage that Boston has is they have home court advantage. They're 9-0 at home. But can they keep winning at home? Got to keep winning at home in order to win the series.
Well, I think I did think even when it was 2-0 that it would be a 7-game series, but I do think Boston will win in 7. I think that, you know, just not the physical challenges that LeBron is doing, which is astronomical, but I think that's a mental load to carry that he's been carrying, all of the offensive and defensive schemes where he's had these picturesque moments where he can remember everything that's happened in a game, because that's a big load to carry. When you're playing well, you don't have to remember every play that goes on in a basketball game. But when you have to concentrate every time and every play, I think the load is just psychologically, for me, just from an outside look in, I think it's too much this year for him.
Do they have to win it in 6, or could Cleveland win a Game 7 in Boston?
If they go to 7, Boston's going to win. I think whoever wins the game tomorrow is going to win that series, whether it's Boston or Cleveland. Cleveland is not going to win Game 7 back in Boston. I thought this was a pick-em series before it started. Like I say, I said last week, if Cleveland win the next 2, it's back to ground, to level ground. But I think whoever wins tomorrow will win the series. I'm with Kenny on this. I got the Celtics in 7. But I got to say something, man. We watched the game together last night, Ernie. If you don't get you get a chance, guys. That chest pass that Kevin Love made to LeBron, he caught it the other end.
Linked to the floor.
One of the best basketball plays I've ever seen. By the pass
or the catch?
Both. But the pass
is incredible.
Shaq, I don't know how he do that, Shaq.
Me neither, because I can't do it. I tried it.
We tried to do it a couple times. It's unbelievable.
Well, Wes Unseld was, old school.
Well, that's why he's named after Wes Unseld.
Oh, he could do it in the air.
Wes Unseld was better.
I went to a basketball camp.
Wes was great with the pass from right here.
You better Google Wes Unseld.
Wes Unseld. I don't know if anybody's ever done. I saw it at a basketball camp. He took it, threw it on the glass. I did that one time. Took it, turned in the air.
Yeah,
and still
no, you didn't.
And hit the other backboard.
Overhand
and hit the other backboard.
You never did that.
No, in the air.
No.
Yeah, I can do it.
he did. First of all, you can't lift your fat ass and turn at the same time.
First of all,
he did it on a free throw.
I'm not obese like you. I'm very sexy. Kenny, tell him what you saw the other day in the locker room.
I'm not going to tell him that.
Yeah, don't tell him that. Oh,
that's not my style. Right?
See this? It's coming in.
Were you looking at Stack's body in the locker room?
Yes, it was.
I don't know what he's talking about. I have no idea.
We're going to take a break.
Don't make me release it.
And when we come back,
don't make me release that footage.
Tell him what you saw in the locker room.
You will hear from Chris Paul as he sits down with our Christmas
Kenny, that was a pause.
Kenny the snitch. Tell us, Kenny.
I have no idea. I was not in the locker room yesterday.
Our app presented by Cisco. Go to NBA.com/NBA on TNT VR for more information. There's the VR camera, one of them that's used in bringing those games in VR, and those games are called by Spiro Dedes and Stephanie Reddy. who are preparing to do just that in Game 4 of the Western Finals.
Two great announcers, great people
Here
too.
at Oracle, as we welcome you back to TNT NBA Tip-Off, presented by Auto Trader. So Chris Paul made his NBA debut in 2005 at the age of 20. Played in New Orleans, played with the Clippers, playing with the Rockets. 892 regular season games and 86 playoff games before finally making it to the conference finals. And now, Game 4 approaching, what may be the biggest game he's ever played.
33-year-old Chris Paul is going to a conference finals for the first time in his Hall of Fame career.
And Chris Paul from three-point land. Look at that. I'm going to fake it to you. And then wait for you to come back to me. Hit my man wide open in the corner. The series of moves by Chris Paul. The handles of Chris Paul.
An incredible performance by Chris Paul.
We've talked a lot about your first trip to the conference finals.
Right.
Do you feel a sense of accomplishment?
Not at all. Not at all, because you win the game and then it's on to the next one, the next series. I think for us, we just have that singular focus about each game and wanting to continue this because we're not ready to, depart from each other. I mean, we have a good time, with each other. We enjoy being around each other, and we just want to keep hooping.
It is game number 1. The Golden State did what they do. They find ways to do it. Rocket fans hoping that their team keeps up on the court to even up this series. The Houston Rockets tie this series. It is game 3 of the best of 7. It's a 40-point blowout for Golden State. And the Rockets suffer their worst ever loss in playoff competitions.
How is it that you've found a way to remain consistent throughout the ups and downs of a postseason run?
I think that's a combination of our team and our coaching staff and the guys on our team. We try not to get too high, try not to get too low. This is our first year together, all of us. And, we talk about everything, the good, the bad, the indifferent. And we enjoy it. We embrace the hard times, the struggles, quarter by quarter, but everybody's very vocal.
What a beautiful step back there by Harden. Performance working here for the bearded one.
You told me prior to this playoff run that playing alongside James Harden has freed up your game in a way you had never experienced before. How much confidence is stemming from that chemistry?
A lot of confidence. And, we both try to push each other. It's fun being out the game and, especially seeing James, when you come out the game and, you might have been down 4 and you go back in the game and you're up 8 and stuff like that. It's been different. There's times where, me and him may argue, or the thing everybody's seen with us arguing in the huddle. What a lot of people don't know is that that's our normal. Like after that game that night, we went to dinner and we talked about everything. And that's what I said, the good, bad, and the ugly. And that's why our relationship is what it is.
Can you put into words what it would mean to make your first trip to the NBA Finals?
I don't know, because, we still got a lot of work to do. And then, like, the way my brain works is, like, is that it? You know what I mean? Like, to get there, I think it's about the process and just, enjoying it game by game.
Chuck, you have said on numerous occasions that Chris Paul's the best leader.
Yes.
In the game. How does that manifest itself on a night like this in a must-win situation for Houston?
Well, I want to say something first. When you're a great player, you get probably too much credit and too much blame. You see when Chris Paul, everybody say he had never been to the conference finals. Well, they gave up like 12 players to get him. That team fell apart, didn't even make the playoffs. Chris Paul showed up and set a record to get to the conference finals. So it clearly wasn't Chris Paul's fault they didn't get to the conference finals with that bogus Clippers team. That's my first point. I think Chris Paul needs to have the ball more. I do. I think they need to take the ball out of James Harden's hand as much, because as great a player as James is, he doesn't make the players around him better like a Chris Paul would. Because Chris is more of a traditional point guard. James is the MVP. He's a great, great offensive player. But in this situation, it comes down to making those other guys, Trevor Ariza, P.J. Tucker, Eric Gordon, get those. And I think if Chris handles the ball more, That would be the one adjustment I would make if I was the Rockets.
They need to get back to how they played game 2. Play a lot faster. I agree with Chuck. Get everybody involved. And they got to come out aggressive tonight, because if you lose this game, you're going to be in trouble against the mighty Golden State Warriors. They're going to smell blood. They know what it takes to, be a championship team. They already have early talks about being a dynasty, so they want to make it to the finals. So if you want to beat this team, you got to play correct. You got to play the right way, and everybody has to be involved, period.
Well, I'm going to kind of go to one of my off the thought process things that
out of the
go
box.
back to out of your box thought process.
We call that every day around here.
Going back to your first question, I don't think Chris Paul is a Hall of Fame point guard. He is a great player, and I'm sitting next to one here. And in terms of never won a championship yet, that should not define who you are, because he's been good enough, he's been great enough individually to do it. However, when you do win a championship, it does define you. So it shouldn't define you if you don't make it, but it does define you if you do. It does take you into a level of thought process by everyone and your peers into a different level. But not saying that it's his fault that he didn't win it, or Charles' fault that he didn't get there. No, it is not that. But being on a championship team does define it.
But my original question was, how do his leadership skills manifest themselves on a night like this?
He's going to have to build that tonight, because he's never proven that he's been able to lead into the next level. So he has to, tonight he's learning what that will feel like, what will that be like, because we all know when you're 2 or 3 games away from the NBA championship, there is a different type of leadership, a different type of focus that infiltrates your locker room. And it's like tear gas coming in, and we all feel it. And so this is the first time he's feeling that in his locker room.
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit, because to get to the next level, you have to take steps. And the game tonight is a step. You definitely have to win this game tonight. So you can play great tonight. You can lead everybody tonight. You can, take the ball out of James' hand tonight. You can get other guys involved tonight. You got to win tonight. So I think he can be a leader tonight just by playing great.
And the main thing you got to do, Ernie, you just got to say, guys, you got to make the other guys relax. Because the toughest thing they got is just building. This is the toughest building in the NBA to play in. When these guys start raining threes and running and gunning, this place is so loud, explosive, they feed it. Every time Steph hit a three and doing this little shimmy thing, or Clay hits a three and start doing this little thing, then KD does it, this place is electric. The first quarter tonight, they were down 6, 8, 10 points the other night, and then, because you know what's going to happen in the second half, the Warriors are always explosive, but in this game, the Rockets got to get off to a good start. Like I say, the subtle adjustment I would make, I would play Chris on the ball more, maybe move James to the 2.
As Kevin Durant was quoted as saying prior to Game 4, when Steph hits a 3 at the crib, this is his words, when Steph hits a 3 at the crib, it is so impactful. I just didn't want you to think I just didn't want you thinking I came over that was Kevin Durant. When Steph hits a 3 at the crib, it is so impactful.
Man, I'll tell you.
And later tonight, if that's happening, this place will be bananas.
I'll tell you what, he was one of the smoothest big men dressing. I put it back in his day, though. I will say that.
Hey, Shaq, this is West Unsell.
Yeah. Now,
watch West.
Woo! Shaq, look at that.
Come on, man.
I didn't have that in my game.
But he did it. He used to do it in the air.
Watch him play right here. Oh, go Evan Hayes right there, too.
Yeah, Big E.
Kevin, watch it. I love this, man.
This is Unseld again, and now.
And his is not as good as Kevin.
Well, they just found one off the internet.
Yeah, but his was, look at this.
That means he was doing that every night.
That's impressive.
Oh my goodness, that's ridiculous, America. Shout out to Kevin Love and LeBron James.
Driving with Ellington. Bam! Caught it! He caught it! He stuck a fork in that shot. Taken right out of the air by Bam! What a block! Just snapped it out of midair. Brogdon and Henson. Yes! He did outside! He did out! Give me that! You know who you're nothing with. You know.
This is stolen by Taylor. Now it. Big bombs around at mid-floor. Collins will miss the jam. What a block by Chris. Oh,
it away. Kicked it away from himself. Bryce O'Neal on the break. He's got 9 blocks. That matches his career best.
That is get it out of here. Wow. 1 against 3. Into the lane. Porzingis back to the long shot. Came all the way back to swung it away. Lee out for Jack. Bounce pass for Porzingis. Runs the floor and slams it down.
Admiration for JP. And this is the loudest this building has been this year.
Before we see who won, and I know who won, who do you think?
I'm going to go Marquise Chris. I like this.
Marquise Chris.
I'm going to go with Bam. You catching stuff out the air. I'm going to go with Porzingis just because of the way he finished on the other end. It was a block. That's why that was a great play, but the block.
Here's the way the fans saw it. Anthony Davis.
That's just a regular block. That's a regular block. That's something he does every night. Come on, man. He averages like 2 or 3 blocks a game. He probably does that same block every night. Bam caught it out the air.
Come on, man. That was nice.
That now goes into consideration for play of the year. The voting begins.
Y'all couldn't find a LeBron block?
Enthusiasm, Ernie.
I mean, y'all got LeBron. I'm begging on behalf of TNT. Please come to the thing. They put you in every category. They want you to come to the awards show.
You know what else is going to be cool about the awards show?
What's that?
The Sager Strong Award will be given out again. And Dikembe Mutombo
well deserved.
Will receive it. He's not only was he tremendous to watch on the court, he's one of the great humanitarians of this age. And Dikembe Mutombo will be the Sager Strong.
Couldn't happen to a better man, a great
recipient.
man.
And they were great buddies too, down through the years.
Do we have any criteria so we know why he won that award? Do we have any?
He built a hospital in this country.
No, but I don't know what.
You've been to the hospital. That's the closest you ever came to doing humanitarian stuff.
I'm just asking so that people would know what the criteria is.
Yeah, I mean,
if you do
exactly that, exemplifying the spirit of Craig Sager.
But just for the record, you're never going to win it, kidding.
Well, maybe I will try now because I will.
Just do great charity work.
Well, if I smack you in the head, do people think that's great?
Well, then you'll be going to Dikembe's hospital.
That will take you out of consideration.
Okay.
So I would not recommend it.
In Africa, you're going to be good.
By the way, whose house is this? It's that guy's house. And
who? Jaja Pachulia?
No, they were just showing Steph moments ago. Okay, does this guy have to have an MVP game?
Yes,
he does. Yes, he does.
Ernie, remember what I told you before this series started? The 2 guys for the Rockets who have to play great every game is Chris Paul and James Harden. That's why I thought it was going to be difficult for the Rockets to win this series, because Steph and Clay do not have to play great. Chris Paul and James Harden have to play great for the Rockets to win this series.
Not only does he have to play great, he has to have a spectacular game.
That's what I'm talking about, an MVP.
MVP that game. He's a superstar. Show us you're a superstar. Come out and get high 30s, maybe even 40.
Yeah, somebody's going to have to get 40, or we will be going home in less than 40.
What do you think Game 3 did for this man?
Well, he going to come out on fire again, or he going to come out confident. You know, when you're in a slump, when you feel like once you get it going, everything's going to happen. But I think the guy we got to watch out for tonight is Klay Thompson. I think they want to get Klay going. So I would be surprised if Steph and KD don't try to get Klay going early, because he's the one guy who didn't play well last game out of the big 3. So I expect them to try to get Klay going early.
I was not surprised at him coming back. I've seen this happen before in Cleveland when Dellavedova, everybody was saying was shutting him down, and he wasn't. Then all of a sudden he has a big game. This guy's 2-time MVP. He understands how to break the defense and break the code. He has the cheat code for every basketball game in his mind. He knows how to get there, and it might not happen that night, but it will happen at night.
In his first 10 quarters, Curry was 3 for 20 from deep. He was 4 for 5 in the second half of Game 3 as Golden State won that game by 41. James Harden and the Rockets trying to tie things up here in Game 4, coming your way at the top of the hour on TNT. I want to thank the fine folks at Auto Trader for their generosity again in the Auto Trader playoff drive. The Aim High Foundation getting $1,000. Kenny?
You know where we're going to put it? I'm going to put it more into mental health. I'm going to donate that to mental health.
Very good.
Our foundation will give a charity.
During Final Four, I was able to, on Easter Sunday, went to City Church downtown in San Antonio. This is a great church, doing great things for the people there, and a wide demographic there, and it's just a beautiful place. Made my Easter Sunday very special. So 2,500 to City Church downtown in San Antonio. Shout out the pastor there, Doug Robbins, over there at Cameo Theater. You guys do a great job.
Well, I want to give my money to where I normally do. Mustard Seed Communities in Sacramento, California, which is a homeless school. But I've been there quite a few times. They have these kids to come in every single day. Well, not every day, because obviously they're homeless, but they have a great place to hang out during the day. The people there are amazing. They're all volunteers. Tara August, my boss, has got me involved with Mustard Seed, so it's really amazing. Keep supporting those kids, man. They need a place to feel safe.
And our champion is Shaquille O'Neal. Congratulations.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank my gym manager, Chico Robinson.
Yes.
For great. I'm giving mine to the Odessa Chambers Quality of Life Fund. Charles knows this. My grandmother was a nurse, so my mother and I started scholarship funds for young females who want to become nurses. Ever since 1996, we've been sending nurses to school on 4-year scholarships. So,
oh, wonderful, man. Your mom is amazing, man.
Yes. Chico, thank you, brother.
Yeah, that's a great charity. We did the Mama Said Knock You Out event.
Yeah, really.
Your mom's a special lady.
Thank you, brother.
$10,000 to the champion, Shaquille O'Neal, with great teamwork with Chico Robinson. Meantime, big story going into this game is Andre Iguodala unable to play for the Golden State Warriors. Kevon Looney will get the start for Golden State. Both coaches talked about Iguodala not being in there in their media availability.
Oh, obviously he's a great defender, and he's a guy who I think he led the league in assist to turnover ratio. If he didn't lead it, he was right up there. You guys have heard me sing his praises for years. You know, he's an organizer. He's a guy who settles us down. He continuously makes the right play. So we'll miss all that.
Well, he's important to them. So now they only have 4 All-Stars instead of 5. So yeah, it really put a crimp in their style. So you know, it's like anybody. He's a big part of what they do, and they'll miss him. They have plenty of others that could pick up the slack, but at the same time, it's you know, it's unfortunate for him. I'm sure he'd rather be out there, but I'm not too worried about them and how they'll respond.
That kind of sounds like your response, Charles, earlier when we talked about the impact of it. You said, well, they got those other 4 guys.
Yeah, they got them other 3 guys. I'd feel more good if Steph, Clay, and Kevin wasn't going to play, but they're going to be fine. They got the big 3. Come on, man, stop it. Stop acting like all these role players. They got them 3 nuclear weapons right there.
Yeah, but the others have to play well. They
play well because of those 3. Because you put those. Everybody on the NBA got others.
Of course.
But you need those nuclear weapons to make those others irrelevant.
I mean, when this guy plays defense, he always makes the right play, like Steve Kerr said.
Yeah, he passed the ball to Steph and Clay.
Hey, that's what you got to do.
The Rockets have played 180.
That's his role.
The Rockets have played 188 games, regular season and postseason combined, under Mike D'Antoni. Just the 5th time the other day that they failed to score 90 points in the game as they were held to 85 in that 126-85 loss. So, Kenny, the question is, how does this team respond to a thumping that big to the tune of 41 points in this game tonight?
When you are losing by those margins, you have to accept that there has to be a different game plan. And it doesn't mean that you're going to vary it that much, but you have to vary it. And you have to be adaptable. And you have to understand that there are certain things that you can't do against this team. The pick and roll does not work against the Golden State Warriors. Open the floor up, get early into the shot clock, penetrate and pitch, which they are very good at, the Rockets. And they have done that, and they can continue to do that.
But despite the game plan, you have to have the correct mindset and the right focus, and you have to play the right way. You know, game plan's a game plan, but guys ain't going out there hustling, playing hard, making the right play, making the right decision. Game plan, schmane plan, ain't gonna matter anyway.
I said earlier, the one adjustment, I get the ball to Chris Paul a lot more, let him be the orchestrator of the offense.
Rockets, after a postseason loss, are 3-0 and winning by an average of 21. We'll be back.
Thanks very much. Clay, the news is that Andre's not playing tonight. He's obviously a crucial part of that Hamptons lineup. How do you compensate for him at both ends of the floor?
That's a great question. Unfortunately, Andre's not playing. He does so many things that can't be accounted for in the box score, but we got guys who are going to step up. We have a great bench, a deep bench, guys like Nick Young and Sean Livingston, Quinn Cook, who can play that guard position.
And so coming up
some of the things Andre does, but Nick and Quinn can stretch the floor great, and Sean Livingston is an amazing backup point guard, his ability to push the pace and play with great poise. So we just have to do it collectively, but we're going to miss him.
He does so many things. In fact, you all do when you're playing together instinctively because you've played with each other for so long. So how important, especially, is communication tonight?
It's huge, especially how loud it gets in here, especially on the defensive end. Sometimes, he just reads and reacts, but with this team, we've been playing together now for 80, 90 games or whatever, how long the season's been, so we're used to it. And we've had the next man up approach this whole season, and it won't be any different tonight, but we will miss Andre.
You said after Game 3 that you could not afford to be complacent because they're exactly one game away from getting home court back. So what's the best way to guard against that?
Just play our butts off tonight, give everything we have to this game, all energy, and stay focused for 48 minutes because this team going runs with the best of them, and you can't sleep against the Rockets.
Clay, thanks for your time.
No problem.
All right, back to you.
It is Game 4 Western Conference Finals, live here from Oracle Arena in Oakland. Warriors lead it 2-1. Marv Albert, Reggie Miller, Chris Webber, David Aldridge, Kristen Ledlow have it covered. Next.